are you doing?
I'm doing great. I wish I was still over in Paris, but but oh my God, that was my favorite trip I ever had, and I want to go back.
That's so good to hear. That's great.
Me and my wife and I loved it so much. It was unbelievable.
That's great.
I think I listened to just about all your podcasts.
Wow. That's patience right there.
My favorite one's Gary Turco, episode 130.
Yeah?
Romantic Paris.
Yeah.
I think I listened to that about 5 times.
Oh, wow. He does have a lot of good tips, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah. I used a lot of them.
That's great. Well, I will let him know that that you really enjoyed it. That's great. This is Join Us in France, episode 164. Bonjour, I'm Annie, and on today's show, we're sharing tips so you can organize your Paris Marathon race or a race in many French cities for that matter. They all tend to be organized in a similar way. But first, let me introduce myself a little bit. My name is Annie Sargent, and Join Us in France is the only travel show exclusively dedicated to helping you prepare your big trip to France. I was born and raised in France, but I went to the UK and the US for college, and then I lived in the US for 20 years. I have been back living in France for over a decade now. I didn't work in the travel industry. This podcast is something I created because being a bit of a geek and having lived far away from France for so long, I was eager to rediscover my own country, and it turns out that I also love to talk about France with other people. My occasional co-host and good friend Elise has had the opposite life experience. She was born and raised in the US, moved to France to complete college. She is an art historian, and she has been living in France and working in the travel industry for a long time. Because Elise is a professional tour guide, we decided to organize small group tours a few times a year. I created a small business called Addicted to France, and you can read reviews about Addicted to France tours on TripAdvisor. To see what tours are available on what dates, go to addictedtofrance.com. On the show, you will also hear from different listeners who visited France and went to share how it went, what they learned. They want to give you specific recommendations. They want people who are going after them to learn from their experience. I call those trip reports, but I could also have called them listener travel tips, listener insider tips, or listener trip reviews. The point is, you get to hear candid reviews of other people's vacation. You know they are not fake reviews because you can hear it straight from their mouth, and we all help one another have a better vacation experience in France. At the end of the show, you will hear how you can contact me if that's something you'd like to do. And I'm not just looking for glowing reviews. I do ask people to bring up things that didn't go as well as they had hoped. In today's episode, I bring you a conversation with Mike Sheppard about his experience running the Paris Marathon in 2017. If you're interested in this episode, you should also listen to episode 155 with Callie Spiner, who ran the Paris Marathon in 2017 also. And also episode 86 with Janice Chung, who ran the Bordeaux Marathon. My personal update this week is going to be all about the Journées du Patrimoine happening next weekend all over France. Stay tuned after the interview to hear my thanks to listeners who support the show on Patreon, my personal update, what's happening around me, how to connect with me, and any news concerning the show. Also, the French tip of the week is back. And now, here's the interview. Hello, Mike, and welcome to Join Us in France. How are you?
I'm great. Bonjour, Annie.
Bonjour, bonjour. Very nice to talk to you today. We are going to talk about your experience at running the Paris Marathon in 2017.
Exactly.
Excellent. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
I'm Mike Sheppard, and I'm from Cape Coral, Florida, which is in the United States.
Yeah. And you're saying it's very hot over there, huh?
It's extremely hot. It's like an oven. It's like an oven. I wish I was back there in Paris, where the weather was seems to be perfect every day, in the 60s, and at night it was in the 50s.
Well,
And it was perfect.
yeah, I think we've got you fooled. It's not quite that perfect every day, but
Oh, but when I was there, it was. I was there for
good.
10 days, and every day was perfect. Perfect weather.
That's very good. Okay, so let's talk about your marathon experience. Was this your first marathon, or have you done this sort of thing a lot?
That was my 10th marathon.
Ooh, wow.
I've done about 180 different races, but that was my 10th marathon. All the other ones were different distances and triathlons and
Wow.
all kinds of different races.
You're very, very into this stuff.
Yes, and my wife also. We're both into it.
Great. And do you travel for your marathons, or was this your first time doing a marathon outside of the U.S.?
That was my first one outside of the U.S., but I do travel around the U.S. and do different races when we go away.
Wow.
So a lot of times when we plan trips, I look for a race that's in that area.
That's cool.
And do one while I'm there.
So how long before you actually ran the marathon did you start planning this?
The Paris, I probably started planning this probably almost a year before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I figured, that most people would start thinking about it a year ahead of time.
Yes. Well, we always wanted to go there since we've been married. Mm-hmm. And it just never worked out until we figured it's time to go. And we wanted to do it for our anniversary. So our anniversary is actually a month before the marathon, so we delayed our trip just so it could be while we were there.
That's cool. That's very cool. Was it your first time in France?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, we were never there before.
That's fantastic. So did anything surprise you? Anything you wish you knew before you went?
About the marathon or Paris in general?
Well, let's start with the marathon, and then we'll maybe go a little bigger.
Well, the marathon, not too many surprises. That's the biggest one I ever done. I mean, this is the second biggest marathon in the world. New York is the biggest, and then Paris is the second biggest. I think about 43,000 people finished the race. Probably about 1,500 people every year do not finish the race.
Okay.
So that's pretty good. It's a great race. It's a really wonderful course. And for the people who never done a marathon, it's a great marathon to do. In fact, 37% of the people in the Paris Marathon, it is their first marathon.
Oh, okay. So it's And
so you shouldn't be intimidated thinking this is too big. This is, because there's so many people, this is probably for people that've done a lot. But it's not. A lot of people, it's their first time.
And I suspect that, this one, you don't have to be, how do you say that? Like, you don't have to be super fast. You don't have qualifiers.
Like an expert, yeah. Yeah. No, you don't have to be an expert. You could be just a novice. You could be just your first marathon. You're just trying to cover the 26.2 miles or 42.195 kilometers.
Yeah, which is crazy. I don't know how anybody does it. I'm so impressed with that.
Well, it's a wonderful for a 26.2 mile tour of the city is what it is.
That's true.
Think of it like that. And you don't have to do it very fast. You can walk, run, and just get through it and enjoy the whole experience. It's a great race.
Yeah. So do you go through, I mean, I know where the route goes, but you want to talk a little bit about what you saw along the way?
Well, you see just about they put the course through just about all of the major sites and attractions. So you really run by most of the big sites, the big sites of the city, the Eiffel Tower, and it starts on the Champs-Élysées. Is that how you say it?
Champs-Élysées, yeah.
Yeah, it starts there.
Yeah.
So you're right there by the Arc de Triomphe.
Yeah.
And they line the street with fencing, and what you're put in is in corrals. By I should go back and say, when you sign up for the race online, they will ask you, how long do you think it'll take you to do the race?
Okay.
So you have to keep in mind, whatever time you put on there is where they're going to put you at the starting line.
Okay.
So if you say you're going to do it in 4 hours, there's a corral that says when you get there 4 hours, and you go through a gate, and that's where you're going to be.
Okay.
Until you get to the start. So if you and in Paris the race starts at 8. In U.S., most of the marathons start at much earlier, like 6.
Oh wow!
Or something like that. Yeah. So that was a little different. It started much later than what I'm used to. So. You might want to, if you want to get done the race a little earlier, you might want to say that you're going to do it in 3 or 3.5, just so you can get closer to the front.
Oh, they put the fastest people first.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So when you're thinking 43,000 people, I put 4 hours, which I probably should have put a little bit faster, just so I can get done faster. But I wasn't thinking that's what they were going to do, but that's what they did.
Yeah.
And so, for instance, the race started at 8. I was in the 4 o'clock corral. And when the race started at 8, I didn't get to the start line until about an hour later.
Wait, I didn't get that. Okay, so your corral started running about 9.
The race starts at 8. So
right.
The first corral is the elite, the professionals who do this they do it for a living.
Right.
And then they're
going to run it in 2 hours or something?
Well, the winner did it in 2:06.
Right. Okay.
2:06. Wow. Which is actually what's crazy about the finishers. The winners of the marathon this year for the men and women were husband and wife.
Oh, wow.
So is that a romantic marathon or what?
That's like
husband and wife
Come on,
win
honey, let's go kill ourselves off.
I mean, you think of all those people that are in the race, and a husband and wife both win the race is
that's
pretty
really
outstanding.
Impressive. Yeah, that's really impressive.
It sure is. So what I'm saying is, when there's that many people lined up all the way down the Champs-Élysées, when the race starts at 8, I'm way back in the group. So as they slowly start the race, it's going to take almost an hour for me to actually get up to where the starting line is.
Right. So what happens if you say I'm going to finish it in 8 hours? I don't know.
Oh, then you're going way back there, way in the back of the pack, and you might not get to the starting line for an hour and a half, or
maybe longer.
Maybe even longer. Yeah. Okay. So I think if I did it again, I would probably put a faster time, because after the race, I want to go and do some more stuff in Paris. So, there's a lot to see and do. I don't want to, take too long.
Interesting. So they didn't have the marathon in Toulouse, they usually have a group coming through first where it's people who use adaptive technology. So they're going to have, a blind runner with a guide or somebody, stuff like that. Do they do that also in Paris?
Yes, they do. They have a wheelchair start for all the athletes that are in wheelchairs.
Yeah.
And I believe that's the only. They start before everybody.
Right.
And
okay.
then it's the official elite start.
Right. Okay.
Which is the pros.
Yeah. So it's the same as what they do in Toulouse, pretty much. That's how I've seen it done.
But if I can go back a little bit and talk about the expo.
Yes, please.
The expo is what you have to do before race day.
Okay.
And the expo is at the convention center. I can't think of the name right now.
Porte de Versailles, Parc des Expositions.
Yes, that's it.
Yes.
And what I learned from your podcast, of course, put the app on your phone to RATP, which is the bus and train schedule, and they drop you off right in front of the expo.
Yes.
So the race, of course, you have to go there to get your bib, your race number, and your different information that you need. And it's a big expo, and all the companies are there, and you can get all the clothing and nutrition and anything that you might want there at the expo.
Right. That's cool, I guess. Did you leave with like a big bag full of stuff?
Yes. I mean, they have a lot of Paris Marathon merchandise there. And, you have to get some of that. And a lot of marathons here, you get a race shirt when you go to get your packet with a bib number.
Right.
But Paris, you don't get that until you cross the finish line. They're not going to give that to you until you make it.
That's right. So finish your marathon first, sir or ma'am.
Then they'll give you a shirt, and your shirt says finisher, and it's a nice shirt, says finisher and everything. But you can also buy shirts at the expo, but the finisher shirt is not for sale there. You can only get it when you finish the race.
Right.
So keep that in mind. And when you do go to the expo, the most important thing that you definitely want to have is a medical certificate that is on their website that you have to print out, and you have to have that filled out by your physician.
Right.
To say that, yes, I approve of this person to do the race.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, they are not going to let you do the race. They will not give you a bib number. You'll be out. So if you're coming from another country, that could be a huge problem.
Right. So you had your doctor in the U.S. fill that out for you.
Right. And they're going to want to give you a whole physical and everything.
Right.
And
because your doctor's probably like, well, I have no idea if you can run a marathon or not.
Yeah, right. So if he's not sure, then he's going to do all kinds of tests on you,
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But make sure you have that. And they did ask for my passport when I gave my medical certificate at the expo. So it's important.
So
you should
that day
probably bring your passport and as much photo ID as you could bring with you. Bring it, because you don't want to not get your bib because of some paper or.
Typically I recommend people don't bring all that stuff with them because, what if you get robbed or something? But yes,
right.
If you're going to do a thing like that, do bring your stuff,
Yeah, I did not carry my passport around with me
while I was
just to the expo because I wanted to make sure I didn't want any kind of problems. The expo's open like 3 days before race day. So you have a lot of time to do that. And I guess the earlier you do it, if there's a problem, you have more time to get it fixed. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Another thing before we go into the race start is the porta potties. Porta potties in this country, when you get to these big marathons, they're all over the place before you get into the corral. The corral is a fenced-in area where once you're in there, you're in there. But Paris does something really great that I noticed. They put the porta potties inside the corral. Which is great because you're in your own corral with, maybe I don't know how many people's in each corral, but it's much better than them being on the outside where there's 50,000 people lining up for these porta potties. When you're in your corral, you're just dealing with the group that's in your corral, which is much, much, much better.
Yeah.
And,
maybe a few thousand people.
Right. And there wasn't really any lines inside there. It was pretty much easier than other marathons I did.
That's good. So is it pretty convivial, in there? Are people joking around and talking to each other? Or were you running with your wife that day?
No, she said when I go to Paris, which I was surprised because she's done a lot of marathons also. But she said when I go to Paris, I want to enjoy Paris so much. I don't want to feel tired after a marathon. I don't want to make sure I don't, have any kind of
injury,
pains
maybe?
or anything.
Yeah.
She didn't want to have anything to mess up her trip there, so she decided not to do it.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm still surprised, but she didn't want to do it. I said, "Oh, that's fine," So she just, waited at the hotel and got room service, and just waiting for me to get back. But
not bad. That's very good.
But it was great.
So when you start running, is the ambiance like anywhere else?
Yeah. So what was fun for me in the corral, because you're in there for a long time, and even while the race starts, you look around, everybody's bib has their first name and their country. And I was looking through just about everybody for a USA, and I didn't see any.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's 70% of the race is French.
Well, yeah.
And only 3% is from USA. So 3% in that many people, you might not see anybody, which I didn't.
Yeah.
And you see the surrounding countries, Germany and England and so forth.
Yeah.
And everybody is happy and laughing and having fun, and everybody gets along, and it's a great gathering of people from everywhere.
Yeah.
And of course, I couldn't understand what just about anybody was saying. But it's a happy, fun time, and everybody's happy, and it's great. It's one of the things of the world where all these nationalities get together, and everything is happy and fine, which doesn't always happen. And
yes, that's really good. That's really good. Was security really tight?
Yeah, they're really good with security there. Yeah, you see the police, a lot around, and you see some the guys with the camouflage, like the military guys. Mm-hmm. Not tons, not like a lot where you're like worried or anything.
Yeah.
I never felt worried like anything's going to go on or anything. I was it doesn't bother me at all. But there was security around, which is fine.
Yeah.
Some people might get up, a little bit worried about that or whatever, but it's really nothing to worry about. They're like that at most big races. They have security.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So did they have good places for you to grab water, grab maybe a little sugar or something?
Yes. And for the people that are going from other countries, when you have these stops along the way where they have drinks and nutrition and food and stuff like that, they're going to have different things than maybe from where you're from. So read up on the website of the Schneider Electric Parks Marathon.com, and they'll tell you all the different companies that will be having their stuff at the stops. So you don't want to try something new that you've never tried before. That's like a runner's rule, because you don't know how your body's going to react to that. But they had like little sugar cubes, which I never had at a race before, but it's just sugar cubes, and your body needs that to keep going.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of fruit, a lot of and bottled water, which was Vittel.
Yes.
The bottled water. And I suggest if you get to Paris, to go get a case of Vittel and drink that the days before. Ah,
okay.
Just to make sure that, Vittel is cool with me, because that's what you're getting during the race. So you want to try it out, of course. I probably drank at least 24 of them before the race
was over. Wow.
Before the race even started. I mean, the days before that, I probably bought more than the case. Between me and my wife, we probably bought maybe 2 cases of water. And I made sure it was Vittel, because that's what they had during the race.
Right.
And
that's a good idea. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Right. And they have, you want to try out all the stuff that they're going to have at the race, But if you're if you have certain nutrition that you always use on a big event like that, as far as marathons and stuff, you want to probably bring that with you from your own country, the stuff that you're used to.
Yeah.
Because they do have nutrition during the course, and it was nutrition I never heard of, so I wasn't going to try that, because some nutritions react differently to people's bodies. So,
well, the big thing that French people do is orange slices.
Yes, they did have that. That was great. They had bananas. They had some. They had apples.
Yeah.
All that stuff, of course.
Yeah.
But they do have a lot of stops like that, and the spectators, it's unbelievable. There's 250,000 spectators for this race. and they are everywhere, and they're cheering you on, and there's many organizations along the side, and for different causes, and I found that there's different areas where they'll have like a section, and all these people are from Germany, and they'll have the flags, they'll be raising their flags, and then there'll be a section from this country and this country and this country. So, they kind of, it was really cool. As you run through the marathon, you'll see people from everywhere. I've seen flags from all over the world.
Did they have American section?
I saw one section where I saw American flags, and they were from, it seemed like they were all from Chicago for some reason. I think they had a group of people go from Chicago.
Maybe the marathon organizers from Chicago.
Yeah, it must have been like a tour maybe from Chicago, a marathon tour or something. But it seemed like they were all from Chicago. But
cool.
I heard some English speaking at that
around
section.
There, yeah. That's cool. And they had music, I suppose.
Oh yeah, there's music everywhere. You'll see a lot of drum groups with the big drums that they like a drum corps.
Yep.
They'll have a lot of drums, a lot of like kind of jazzy groups. There's some rock groups. There's music is everywhere throughout the entire course, and that's all great because you like to see a lot of entertainment along the way. Yeah,
it will keep you going, maybe, hopefully.
Yes. One thing to beware during the race, which is pretty much what we found, me and my wife in our travels through Paris, is toilets. Mm-hmm. They're not everywhere.
No.
So, and this is also during the marathon. There are not a lot of toilets during the marathon. So when you do see one, you might want to go use that before you move on during the race, because you might not see one for many, many miles. There is not a lot of them. Like here, they have them pretty frequent. But there you do not see many. But if you look at the course online, on each side of the course, you go through like a very huge park areas.
Okay.
I think there's 2 of them. And you'll be running down a road where it's just trees and forest on each side. And many, many people were running into the the trees.
Yeah, that's what French guys will do, is they run into the trees and release themselves, which is
the guys and the girls.
The girls too, there you go.
They were all running there.
If you're drinking a lot of water, what are you going to do?
Yeah, you have to. Have to. And there's like I said, there's not a lot of toilets on the course. So, people are running into the woods, which is, that's fine. I mean, you have no choice. You have to hydrate unless you're not going to make it.
You're right.
So.
Right, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh, keep in mind during the course, like most marathons, they have photographers everywhere.
Ah, yes.
And you sometimes they'll have a sign saying up ahead there's a photographer, and so on. So if you want to get pictures,
look up.
You might want to try to get some space around you when you get towards somebody with the camera.
Yep.
Especially at the finish line. When you get to the finish line, they're going to take a lot of pictures of you. And later on, when you're at home or weeks later, they're going to send you you can go to the site online and look up all your pictures. You put in your bib number and all your pictures will come up.
Right. And
so if you want to get a lot of pictures of you during the race, make sure you look for all those cameras.
Right. And look at them.
Look at them and pose or do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, but it's good, because I've taken some photos along a marathon course in Toulouse for the guide dog school. And so I was looking I wasn't taking pictures of everybody. I was waiting for the guide dog school runners, and a lot of people, so they put me in a specific spot, where I was allowed to take photos. And too many people run by the photographers, not even looking at all. Some of the guide dog school people didn't, I'm like, well, that photo is useless. It's like,
Yeah.
Look up.
A lot of times you don't see the photographers,
Well, they're low to the ground.
When there's, they do. They sit low.
Yeah.
And you're there with so many people.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Sometimes you miss them, but sometimes I see them. So I did get a lot of good pictures.
Right. So if a little distance between you and the other runners is good.
Right, especially at the finish line.
Yeah.
Because you want that great picture of you with the going through the archway where it says finish, and that's what you want. You don't want somebody blocking you or anything. It's hard to do that at that race because there's so many people.
Yeah, lots of people. Yeah.
But do what you can to get a good finish line picture, because it's quite an accomplishment.
What were the prices of all these, like the photos, all the items, before the race?
The clothing before the race and the at the expo, they had a good deal. They had various shirts you can buy, and they had buy two get one free.
Okay.
So I think they were like $20 or $25. So I got three. So I paid for two, and I got a third one free. So I got two short sleeves and one long sleeve, and then plus you'll get your finisher one at the finish line also. And they had jackets and pants and coffee mugs and posters. They had a lot of different stuff there.
Okay. So tell us about the finish line. What kind of spirits were you in at the finish line?
Well, you're always in great spirits when you see the finish line. There it is, the finish line. It's wonderful. Yeah. The finish line's always great because you did it, you completed it, and hopefully you're feeling fine, and then you get that beautiful Paris Marathon finisher medal, which is great. They do a great job designing that. You can look on Google Images or something like that and see the various Paris Marathon finisher medals, they do a really good job with that. Mm-hmm. The finish line, once you go through, you'll see various signs of shirts with shirt sizes. You'll see a big sign with a picture of a shirt that says medium, and men and women. Yeah. And it just goes on as you walk through this big gauntlet of tables of shirts that pick up your finisher shirt.
Yeah, so you go by and you pick one up.
Yes, you go to the size that you want, and they hand you the shirt, and then once you pass the shirt area, then it's all the drinks and food.
Cool.
This area is really congested with people. Really, really, a ton of people. It's hard to just get out of there, actually. So once I got a drink and food and stuff, I'm ready to continue my Paris trip. I'm ready to get back and get to my wife and do more sightseeing. So you look straight ahead and you'll see the
Champs-Élysées?
Arc de Triomphe.
Yeah, l'Arc de Triomphe, yes.
Yes, which the starting line is a little bit, it's not the same place, of course, as the finish line, but it's not far from there. When you get through the finish, you'll see the Arc de Triomphe ahead of you.
Right.
And the finish line, the starting line was up there. So you just walk towards that, and then you can find your way back to wherever you're going using the metro, wherever you're staying.
Or whatever. Yeah.
The metro and bus is the best transportation I've ever seen in any city. I mean, it's so easy, and they're everywhere.
Oh yeah.
They're very clean and nice, and it was quite shocking to me to go into the subway, and it looks like they buffed the floors and everything. I was like, wow.
Well, some metro stations are better than others. Your mileage may vary, but
I'm telling you, most of the ones I were in were really, really clean and nice. And,
that's good. That's
really nice metro, and it's really easy to use the metro. It's really easy.
Yeah. So, what are some differences between this marathon and others that you've run, other than the scenery?
Well, the scenery, of course, and I'd say the lack of toilets is probably the only negative part. But the food is different. Of course, there's people from so many countries there, which to me was a plus. To see all those countries there and everybody's happy is just is really great. This one, as far as other marathons I've done, this one has the most people. It's really a lot of people. The biggest one I've done, I think, was maybe 25,000.
Oh, so almost twice as much.
Yeah, this one is like 43 or 44 or something like that.
Yeah.
And wow, a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But you still have room to get around. You could still move. You're not going to, if you're looking to get your best marathon time, which some people might be trying to do, you're probably not going to do it in this race.
Why is that?
Because you're not going to have a lot of space where you can take off because of the amount of people. So unless you're just trying to get your best time in the Paris Marathon, if you've done it before, of course, you could do that. But it's a crowded marathon, so you might not get your best time, which I knew I wasn't going to do. Plus, I wanted to see the sights doing it, so I had my iPhone and I was taking pictures along the way and everything and videos. I was enjoying it.
That's fun. That's fun. Yeah. So, did you run the New York Marathon? No. You said this was the biggest. So, yeah, okay.
New York is the biggest as far as competitors, and Paris is second. As far as the most recent statistics that I've seen.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about your trip to Paris per se. What did you particularly like? Did you have a favorite site or a favorite restaurant or a favorite thing that you did?
Well, let me tell you, me and my wife have been on a lot of trips. And this, by far, was the best trip we've ever taken.
Oh, wow.
I mean, this Paris trip was so unbelievable. I didn't want to leave. We were there 10 days. And I can't even express how great it was. I mean, what really, really helped and is your podcast with you and Elise. I mean, with you and Elise and all the knowledge and all the different episodes you have there, I learned so much. I had a whole notebook just to take notes on different things that I shouldn't do or should do, or things to remember, and the apps, so many different things that you've taught me. I felt like I knew so much before I even went there.
And that's really important because if you're prepared, even if you don't remember all the nitty-gritty of what we discussed in the episode, if you've at least heard of things that are different, you're not so surprised. You're like, oh, yeah, I think I heard about that on one of the episodes. And makes it easier, doesn't it?
Yes, it makes it a lot easier. That this podcast was a great benefit.
Oh, thank you.
And wow, I mean, I learned so much before I even went there, like I said, and we had the best time, and the weather was great. Every single day was great. I couldn't think of one negative thing that happened while we were there. I mean, we knew where our hotel was. We knew where the metro stops for the subway were that we would be using. We knew where the bus stops were. We knew, and we, as Gary Turco said in that episode 130, to use look at Viator.
Yes.
And I can't express this enough. He made a point there. When you buy tickets for Eiffel Tower or the Louvre or any of these things, make sure you skip the line.
Yeah.
It is well worth it. It's a little bit more, of course, but believe me, when you get there and you see some of these lines, and we didn't go during the busy time. We went first week of April. And from what I've learned, that is not the busy time. The summer, now, the busy time.
Yeah.
But there still is some long lines, especially the Louvre and the Eiffel Tower. And when you have that skip the line, you go right up to the front and you go in.
Yeah.
I mean, the catacombs, we went to the catacombs, and the line was around the block.
Oh, yeah, you definitely... I don't understand why people just don't buy those things ahead of time. If you know you want to do it, I think maybe what stops people is that they don't know exactly what day they want to do it or what time. Some of these websites ask you to pick a time or whatever. Well, it's really worth thinking about before, and book ahead. Even if you have to nail it down to a few hours, because otherwise you're going to be waiting for the privilege of not making up your mind, 2 weeks early. You're going to be waiting around, a long line around the block. So don't do that.
That's right. And you're just wasting time. When you're in beautiful Paris, you do not want to be standing in some line that's going to be 3 hours.
Yeah. And it's just annoying. Standing in line is just annoying. And don't do it. Yeah. Just decide ahead of time what you want to do on what day and just set, I want to do this thing in the morning and this thing in the afternoon. And most people I wouldn't recommend setting more than 2 things per day, because in between, you're going to have some meals and you're going to have some breaks and you're going to have, maybe some shopping or whatever.
That's right.
But if you set something for the morning and something for the afternoon, your day is planned out, you have your tickets, and you'll be doing things instead of standing in line.
Right. And you have said this on one of the podcasts, and I've learned that from that podcast. So I did not do that. I didn't schedule too many things in one day.
Right. That's good.
Because of what you said before. You said that same thing. And so I made a calendar, and we scheduled every day of what was going to go on that day. Mm-hmm. So we bought all our tickets before we even left this country.
That's really good.
We had everything, and everything worked out perfectly.
And the other thing you have to think about is, there are a lot of websites, a lot of bloggers, a lot of travel books that will recommend specific bakeries or specific restaurants or whatever.
Yeah.
I would caution people against doing great long, spending an hour to go to a specific bakery. Because guess what, folks? In Paris, there are nice bakeries everywhere.
Exactly.
Why do you need that one bakery?
You don't need that one. Don't need that one.
If you go to that one that some bloggers have been writing about, what you're going to get is higher prices, because this is how travel works. Bloggers get paid to write nice things about specific stores, specific restaurants, specific bakeries. This is their business.
Yes.
This podcast is very different, because on the podcast, what I want to tell people is, how do you recognize a good area? How do you recognize, a good bakery? But then once you know what a good bakery looks like, any of them will do. It doesn't have to be that one at the end of the universe. So,
and they're all great.
Yes.
They're all great there.
They're all great. Different in some ways. Some are more ethnic, some are more fancy, some are more relaxed, but just try some. Just wherever you are, try a cafe. You don't need to go to that one cafe where somebody famous was spotted. I mean, that drives me crazy when people tell me, oh yeah, I spent 2 hours on the metro to go to that one place and then it was closed. I'm like, well, you're a fool, because you don't need to go to that one cafe.
If I read this cafe, this person was spotted there, I would be sure not to go to that one. That's where there are going to be tons of people with their cameras waiting to see somebody.
Yeah, you and me both.
That's not for me. But when you're traveling around the city and you go by so many different bistros, cafes, and patisserie.
Yeah, and people ask, where's the best place to get yogurt? Well, yogurt is good in France. It doesn't matter where. So long as it's been refrigerated, it's going to be good.
You're right. Right.
There is best yogurt in France.
All the restaurants we went to, all the bakeries. I mean, everything was great. We didn't go to one place where that's not so good. I mean, I guess I don't know if it's just that way or we just got lucky. I don't know, but everything was so good, especially the wine.
Yeah, the wine, you can't really go wrong.
The wine is unbelievable. I learned from your podcast to just go ahead and get the house wine. Don't get something special because the house wine is great. And you're right, it was great.
Yeah, it's always good. It's not their best wine for sure, but their best wine is going to be $50. The house wine is going to be 10. So you decide.
House wine was great. Their house wine was great.
Yeah.
And we bought many bottles.
Yeah. It's true. So, but it depends on the kind of traveler you are. There are people who just have these lists and they have to cross off all these things they want to do, which is fine if that's your personality. But I think in France, it's much more pleasant if you just, choose a couple of things you want to visit that day and then build around that.
Right.
Go find if there's
just go for a walk,
a store or a market or I don't know, something you want to look at. Just take your time getting between places. Walk between places is also a good thing to do.
Exactly.
For those of us who are not runners, we might want to get a little bit of exercise anyway, just walking around and it's very fun, it's fun to take your time and to just look around. So
yeah, you have to go out and explore.
Yeah.
Walk around and go down some streets and see what's there. And we've done that a lot. And we stopped in a lot of places just walking around.
Yeah.
And we didn't go to a bad place. All the food was just great.
That's good. Well, if you think of a favorite, even after this conversation, send it to me and I'll put it in the show notes. But I'm because people ask for specific recommendations, but I kind of feel like, well, the other thing that happens is because you're into sports. Did you find it difficult to find food that was suitable to your diet, especially pre-race?
No, I didn't find it difficult at all.
Okay.
No. We found there was actually an Italian place by our hotel. So usually before a big marathon, you want to have some carbs, some pasta and stuff like that. And so we made sure we went there.
Yeah.
On the the day before the race.
Right.
So the Italian place was excellent also. We went there twice.
Yeah, so you enjoyed that one, huh?
Yeah, that one was really good.
What do you think? What's a favorite
we went to a couple
dish?
of French ones.
Yeah, what's a favorite dish that you...
Oh my goodness. I'll tell you my favorite, I couldn't probably tell you what the dishes were called.
Right.
But we went on the dinner cruise boat, the glass boat,
Yes.
Bateau
Mouche. Yeah,
no, the other one, Bateau Parsons. Parsons, is it called?
Bateau Parisien. Bateau Parisien.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. And that was excellent. It's a 3-hour. We did the 8:30 one at night so we could see the city lit up.
Yes, nice.
And so like a 5-course, and they were giving us stuff. We had no idea what it was.
And that was a good meal.
And it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
See, this is good to hear because my French bias is, on a barge, you're not going to get a good meal. It'll be decent, but it won't be good.
Oh, no.
And it was really good. That's great to know.
And I read somewhere that the Bateau Parsons, is that what it's called? Parisiens. The food is better there than the other one.
Okay.
The other with the M that starts with an M. Bateau Mouche. Yeah, the other one is better for the tour of the river. The other one's better for the food.
Bateau Parisien is better for the food. Okay.
That's what
I haven't tried
They gave us this appetizer that looked like a parfait with like green. It was like a bright green pudding looking. And we were like, what in the world is that? But it was like some kind of vegetable thing with crab meat in it and everything. And it was just unbelievable.
Oh, good. Good.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you what it was called.
Did you try some duck while you were here?
Yes, we had that at a French restaurant. Mm-hmm. It's just wonderful. Mm-hmm. Well, every restaurant was just really good. Even though we might not have known what we were ordering every now and then, but
but it worked out.
But we like taking chances. We're like, let's just get this.
Did you use a translation app or anything like that?
No. No, we thought it'd be fun to wing it, and but everybody is so friendly. Yeah. Everybody is really, really friendly. You hear things that maybe they're not friendly to you, but what I learned from your podcast the greatest advice I can give somebody traveling there: bonjour goes a long way.
Yes, it does.
Anywhere you go, when you say you greet everybody with bonjour, and if you do. Yep. You're going to be treated nicely. Much
better. Yes, much, much better. Because that's what we do and that's what's expected.
Yes. Bonjour is one of the greatest advice that I've learned.
It's the magic word.
Yeah, people were walking on the bus and saying bonjour to the driver. I mean, about everybody that walked on the bus. I was like, wow, bonjour is really strong.
Yeah, it's really important. It's really important. I don't walk into a bus without saying bonjour to the driver. Yeah.
No, we got used to it, saying it everywhere.
Yeah.
And everybody was just so friendly and nice. All the people were nice. We didn't have any bad experiences with.
That's good. I've caught myself sometimes. We go to the U.S. and I think I've said this on the podcast before. So the first day I'm in the U.S., I walk someplace and I say hello to people, and they look at me like, "What is this alien saying hello to us?"
Yeah, like what is she up to? What's going on?
You walk into an elevator and you say hello. I don't say it, and they look at you like, "What does she want?"
Yeah, it's much different here.
It's very funny.
What is she trying to do? Is there going to be trouble? We got to get out of here.
She wants something from me. And I'm there going, oh, dang it, you did it again. You forgot. In America, you don't say hello when you walk into an elevator.
Right. But that's so nice. That's what's really nice about France. Everybody greets everybody, and it's really nice. Another great thing that I learned from the Romantic Paris podcast is we did with Gary Turco. We hired a private photographer. Mm-hmm. And that really worked out good.
And your photos look really nice.
I wasn't sure about that. I'm like, I don't know. I think it'd be pretty strange walking around by just someone takes pictures of you.
Lots of people do it in Paris. It's not that surprising.
But, we did it, and it was like a 3-hour thing, and he took over 200 pictures, and then they just give you the SD card, and you have it right there.
Oh, so they don't do any editing?
No.
Ah, that's clever.
There's a lot of different ones you can get from Viator and other sites where there's a lot of different photographer deals. Some of them it's very cheap, and then you buy the pictures later online from their site.
Yes.
Which would be a lot more money. And then some of them, it's more money, but you get every picture he takes on a card.
Right.
So you have them all. And that's what I did.
Do they give you JPEG or RAW or both?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Is it JPEG, RAW, or both?
I think it's both.
Okay.
It's all on a card.
Okay. Wow.
And, he took like over 200 pictures. So
how much does that run you? Like for 3 hours, you pay what, $100 an hour or something?
Oh man, let me try to remember. Yeah, I bought it like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
It was. I think it was between 200 and 300.
Right.
Because I figured it out if I did it the other way, where you buy the pictures that you want later, and I looked at how much the pictures were on this specific site, and it would cost a lot more.
Of course.
To buy them single.
And then the photographer owns the rights, whereas if you...
This one I thought was great. After the 3 hours, he just takes the card and puts it in a box for you and says, "Here's all the pictures I took. Do what you want with them."
Wow.
And you can. Do whatever, you can make copies yourself or make posters and do whatever you want, when you have them all.
Yeah.
Between him and us, we took, I think, 645 pictures we have.
Well, yes, you tend to do that. You're in Paris. There's a lot of things that catch your interest. Even me, when I'm in Paris, I'm a shutterbug. It's terrible.
Well, I mean, it's such a beautiful place.
Yeah,
everywhere you want to take a picture.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
I had fun just looking at the cars that were there, like the cars in Paris. That's completely different than here.
Yeah.
You see smart cars everywhere.
Yep.
And the Citroën and the Peugeot.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of you don't see any Citroën in here.
In the U.S., no.
Peugeot, really.
No, but, you don't see any French cars anymore. I mean, Renault tried and Peugeot tried for a short time to get into the American market, and it was a complete failure. It was a big fail.
It was.
Yeah.
I like the Citroën and the...
They look nice. That's very cool. Very cool. Okay, well, I told you we were going to try and talk just half an hour, and we've been at this 50 minutes.
Oh, but it's so much fun.
It is so much fun. I think I'll probably release this one as its own episode because I'll use the one with Callie on a day where I have lots of long announcements because to keep it kind of not too long, not too short.
Okay. And everybody should remember, if you want to do a marathon for the first time and you're going to be in Paris, do that one. Don't be intimidated by the size. The average age of the people that do Paris Marathon is 41. So you're not too old, you're not too young.
Yeah.
And you can make it. It's such a great scenic course. Don't think you can't do it. You practice, you you have a lot of nutrition and hydrate, and you'll make it.
Oh, and French people really enjoy the sportsmanship. You know, even I, somebody who does no sports besides walking, I enjoy the ambiance of sporting events.
Oh yes,
it's fun. You know, it's just.
When you're there and the race is about to start, it's a big party.
Yeah.
They got the music going and people are dancing and you know, like I said, you see the people from all over the world are there and everybody's getting along, which is doesn't happen often.
Yeah, which is wonderful. We want more of that.
It's a great experience.
All right. Well, Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to set this up with me and to talk to me and to share your experiences. It has been lovely to talk to you.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you again, you and Elise, for all the great podcasts you have and the great website. And it helped me and my wife tremendously.
Oh, that's good. I love to hear that. I love to hear that.
Just listen to all of them. If you're going to go to Paris, listen to these podcasts and take notes because it really helped us out a lot.
Yeah, and you know, it was so eerie when we were in Paris doing the inaugural tour.
Right. I've seen all the pictures.
Right, and I haven't put many of the pictures up yet. I haven't even looked at most of them yet because I just took too many and I haven't had the time. But it was bizarre because we were going between our restaurant, which was the Saint-Régis on the Ile Saint-Louis, which I recommend. It's a good one. If you're going to be in the area, it's a good one.
Okay.
And we were walking to Notre Dame, and I was chatting with one of the tour members, and this woman and her husband turn around, and they're like, "Oh, are you Annie from the podcast?"
Yeah, you're a celebrity.
And she recognized my voice, and I just about fell over. I was like, oh my goodness, this did not just happen. So she gave me a big hug, and it was fun. You know, it was just, she talked with us for a few minutes, and then they went on their way. But it was so amazing, you know, to have somebody recognize me. So I know people listen to the podcast, but until something like that happens, you know, and when people like you say, oh, I've listened to all of them, I'm like, really? Why? But
yes, it's like a history lesson.
So it's very gratifying. Let me put it this way. It's very gratifying, and I'm very happy that it's helpful because that's...
Well, get used to that kind of interaction because you're getting to be quite the celebrity. And as more and more people listen to your podcast, you're gonna run into more and more people.
So if I want to be incognito, I just need to keep my mouth shut. My husband's going to enjoy that.
You might get tired of it after a while. You know, later on you might be, no, it's my cousin or something.
Not me.
Not me. No,
I'm not anywhere near that yet. Anyway.
Or pretty soon they'll be like, could you sign this for me? You know,
sign my ticket.
yeah, sign my ticket to entrance to Notre Dame. Andy Sargent.
How fun. Anyway, thank you very much, Mike. And, keep listening because I suppose you'll be going back to Paris at some point.
Yes, definitely.
And you know, when you're done with Paris, many other parts of France are also very nice.
We've been wanting to go for over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And we just didn't get around to it until now. My wife's ancestry is Paris.
Ah, very good. Very good. Okay, Mike, thank you, and we'll see you around.
Thank you very much. Keep making the episodes.
I will. Bye.
Thank you.
Au revoir.
Bye. Au revoir.
No new Patreon supporters this week. Boo-hoo. But I sent out the September installation of Lunch Break French. This month is about two wonderful sites in the Dordogne, the Abri de la Madeleine and La Roque Saint-Christophe, places that have been used to shelter humans from the elements for at least 60,000 years. Next month, I'll publish the first installation of an essay about the personality of Paris neighborhoods. And remember, when you sign up to support the show on Patreon, you get access to all the back episodes of Lunch Break French. And thank you to all the patrons who support the show month after month. I want you to know how much I appreciate your continued support. Most donors pull the trigger and sign up to support the show on Patreon because they feel this show brings them a lot of value and they want to give back. But the way it works on Patreon is that there are rewards that go along with different levels of donation. So, to support the show and Patreon and see the various rewards you can get, go to patreon.com/join us. That's patreon.com. Join us, no spaces or dashes. I'm always tweaking the rewards to keep it interesting, both for you and for me, so check back occasionally. Thank you for clicking on the Tip Your Guide button on journesinfrance.com. Jessica Kigali, your donation is much appreciated. For my personal update this week, I want to tell you about two things. Like I told you earlier, I want to tell you about the Journées du Patrimoine. But first, let me tell you a little bit about an app that I found out about when I was booking tickets for the upcoming October tour that I think you need to know about as well. This app is called Je File, Jefile. And that's what you need to use anymore to reserve a spot to go up the Notre Dame towers. Long lines in front of monuments are a big problem because people hate them, because pickpockets take advantage of them, and now there's the awful worry of cars reaming into innocent tourists as a terror attack. So it has now become a priority to manage lines better and to stop having large groups of people waiting in line. Notre Dame signed up to use an app made by a private vendor called Je File. It's made by a French company, but the app installs in 8 languages, whichever one your phone is set up to do. It's available for iPhone and Android, and the app is free. You install it on your phone at home, but the app won't do anything until you get to within 25 kilometers of Notre Dame. On the day that you want to go up the towers of Notre Dame, you open the app early in the morning. The slots become available for that day at 7:30 a.m. and you follow the instructions. It'll ask you if you want the next available slot or if you want to choose a time slot. It'll ask how many tickets you want. The maximum is 7. And then it will keep you updated via SMS. You proceed to Notre Dame in due time and show the appointment on your phone to security. And you will buy your ticket or show your museum pass after the security. And as a friendly reminder, take the smallest bag you can whenever you go visit any of those sites, not just Notre Dame, but anywhere in Paris. They will search your bags. And so if you have big, bulky bags, it's going to make life miserable. Next weekend, September 16 and 17, 2017, is the Journées du Patrimoine in France. This is an event that repeats every year and has been going on for 36 years. This is the time when lots of attractions, many of which are not normally open to the public, open their doors and give tours. There are also special walks, workshops, conferences, and that all over France. Most of these events are free, but for many of them, the number of tickets is limited, so you do need to register. I'll put a link in the show notes to the website that lists everything for Paris and major French cities. And of course, that website is all in French because, this is France. So, open to the public in Paris for the first time this year is the Cour de Cassation, is the highest court in the French system, besides the Supreme Court. And you might have seen it because it's right by the Sainte-Chapelle in Paris. The Catholic Institute also opens its doors for the first time. Marie de Médicis spent a lot of time there, and so did the martyrs of the French Revolutions. This weekend, you can also visit the residence of the Mexican ambassador in Paris, as well as the Mexican embassy. That's normally not open to the public at all. Well, not for visits anyway. Prestigious bag manufacturer Maison Lancel will welcome the public for the first time also. You will get to see the splendor of the Hôtel Particulier where the business is set up, but you will also learn about the bags, of course. And last but not least, and this is probably the one I'd want to go if I were in Paris, is the movie studio called the Porte des Lilas Cinéma. It's a phantom metro station attached to the real Porte des Lilas metro station. The RATP, so the Paris Metro Company, owns the movie studio and rents it out for an average of 5 movies per year. And next weekend, you can go visit it. So these are all the new ones for Paris, but there are events, old and new, all over the country. There are literally thousands of them. So if you're in France, take a look and participate. It's the venues are going to be crowded. There are going to be people outside a lot next weekend. I'm excited for my next visit to Paris, where I'll be leading a small group from October 1st until October 7th. For any of you latecomers, there are still some spots left. Check it out on addictedtofrance.com. But if you're interested, email me because I've customized this tour quite a bit to suit tour participants. So we'll do some things that are not normally on the program, such as a day trip to Versailles, a behind-the-scenes visit to the Eiffel Tower, a concert at Sainte-Chapelle, and a drive through Paris. You can also join us for 1 or 2 of the days if you wish. Email Annie@joinusinfrance.com for details. And I'm putting in an order for no rain for the October tour because we have lots of exciting visits to do and everything is better when the weather cooperates, isn't it? Some years, Elise and I tell you that we're having an Indian summer in France. Not so much this year. It's not super rainy, but we've had a little bit of rain pretty much every day, even in Toulouse. So if you're coming to France soon, don't forget to bring a good raincoat and 2 pairs of walking shoes, because you know what's really awful? Putting on weight shoes in the morning to go for a full day of walking again. The next tour after the one coming up in October is going to be May 27th through June 3rd, and that's also a Paris tour. Additional excursions will be available on May 25th for the Château de Versailles, including the King's private apartments. May 26th, a drive to Giverny to see Monet's gardens and the new museum at Giverny that Elise will tell us about in an upcoming episode. And also June 4th through June 7th, a 4-day excursion to Normandy to celebrate the 74th anniversary of D-Day at Omaha Beach. And that 4-day excursion will also include the Mont Saint-Michel. If you have any questions about these, email me again, Annie@joinusinfrance.com. Not all the details are on Addicted to France yet, but they will soon be. The September 2018 Dordogne tour sold out so fast that we're thinking of adding either another date or maybe add another van so we can take more people. If that's something you're interested in, email me, but I'm going to meet with Elise soon and we'll be discussing that. The best way to connect with me is to email me, Annie@joinusinfrance.com, or search for the Join Us in France closed group on Facebook. Lots of great conversations are happening on the Join Us in France closed group on Facebook. It's a great place to come ask specific questions about your trip, and you will find lots of people willing to help out quickly there. If you have feedback on what you heard on an episode, leave me a voicemail, 1-801-806-1015. That's a US number where the only thing you can do is leave a voicemail. It does not ring at my house, thank goodness, because there are listeners all over the world and I don't want to get woken up. I will play your feedback on the show unless you indicate that you don't want it played. I create a post for every episode of the show, and you can find it by typing joinusinfrance.com/ and the episode number. This is where you can go see the list of all the things and places we talked about in each episode, the recommendations we gave, where you can see those pesky French names spelled out, and I even add timestamps to most of the episodes so you can jump straight to the right place to listen again. Journésinfrance.com is also where you can subscribe to the newsletter. I don't email more than once a week. I never share your email address with anybody else, and I always add something extra for newsletter subscribers, so I encourage you to sign up for that. There are social share buttons on each episode on joinusinfrance.com as well. You know people who are going to be visiting France. You need to help them not fall into tourist traps by telling them about this resource. They'll have a better time in France, and they'll thank you for it. This is the French tip of the week. This week's French tip of the week. J'aime la France et j'aime penser à mon prochain voyage en France. J'aime la France et j'aime penser à mon prochain voyage en France. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you also for sharing this show on social media. You need to know that I mostly rely on word of mouth to reach new listeners, so any help you can provide is fantastic. Have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday. The Join Us in France Travel Podcast is written and produced by Annie Sargent and copyright 2017 by Addicted to France. It is released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license.